shutdown. Well, the campus was one of the 6 campuses, including the University of the Free State and UKZN, which shut down this week following a call by the South African Union of Students to shut down public universities. Well, students demanded, among others, the eradication of historical debt, free registration for the poor, and the revision of guidelines for accreditation of student accommodation. SAUS also reached an agreement with the Department of Higher Education to, among others, allow students with outstanding debt to register, as well as establish funding for postgraduates. We are now joined in studio by SAUS President Misheck Mugabe, who joins us for more. Very good afternoon to you, Mr. Mugabe. We thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us.
Now, we understand that there was a meeting that did take place between the South African Student Union, as well as that with the Minister of Higher Education, Mr. Zamande, on some of the demands. What were the outcomes of the meeting?
Yeah, we had a very progressive meeting yesterday. The minister actually left a cabinet to come and spend the whole day discussing the 15 demands that we have submitted as a union of students. And these demands are very important. They speak unto the future of students. And I can tell you now that we have scored a lot of victories out of that meeting. One of it is the issue of academic records. We agreed that even if we are owing the university, you must get your academic record. And the minister will be writing to universities within the next few days, within this week, to say, go collect your academic record. That means that even yourself, if you have not got your academic record, if you are owing the university where you are studying, you can go and collect your academic record and be able to look for a job. We don't want you not to get a job on the basis that your academic record is being withheld by university. So you are now going to be able to get your academic record and proceed with your life, proceed to the next level of your study, proceed to look for internship, proceed to look for jobs. So that is one of the first important a move that we managed to come up with. Number 2, we have agreed, because students said NSFAS must reopen for first-time entering students. That was a serious issue because they were closed outside. There is a resolution that is clear that NSFAS is reopening and new students can be able to apply so that they are able to secure funding for their studies for the 2020 academic year. So the meeting we had with the minister, it came up with a lot of resolution, including registration, because universities were demanding debts. We agreed with the minister that no student must be denied to register on the basis that he is having a debt. So universities must be able to allow students to register. You can't be getting NSFAS this year, but all these past 3 years, you have got a debt that you have accumulated because you are not on NSFAS. Then the university say you can't register, you can't proceed with your studies. That is financial exclusion. And we are saying all those students are now going to be allowed to register. So we have scored a victory for our students.
Is there a certain process that any students who have been denied registration based on financial limitations need to follow?
Yeah, definitely. What universities do is that you must sign a debt acknowledgement form. On top of that, they were requesting you to pay some percentages, which we are saying, no, you must not demand students to pay a certain percentage for them to register. If they sign a debt acknowledgement form, it's sufficient enough. They must then allow you to register. And these resolutions, we said they must be put in writing. They have been put in writing. They will be sent to universities to implement. What we must encourage our student representative on the ground is that, comrades, guard to ensure that these resolutions are being implemented according to our agreement, so that there is no student who is excluded outside. If any student is excluded on the basis that is poor, contact us. We are available to ensure that every student access the university system.
Okay, now take us through the impasse that happened at Northwest University. Of course, the total shutdown there with regards to some of these issues that were then tabled. We do understand at this point in time an agreement has been reached. So based on these outcomes that you've had with the minister, is this across the board for all universities, or is this just with regards to the Northwest University?
Yeah, when we called for a national shutdown, a number of universities responded. Northwest University is one of them. University of Fort responded, went on a protest. UNISA went on a protest. And I can tell you University of KwaZulu-Natal went on a protest. I can tell you University of Venda went on protest. There are quite a number of universities that went on protest to support the shutdown that we have called. About 18 universities were protesting. But But one of the things that we can say is that some of the issues are not yet finalized, but majority, if I can put it in percentage terms, 70% of the issues we're fighting for has been responded to by the minister. We still have other outstanding issues, so we have a choice now to say, should we continue the protest now that there is still 13%, 30% outstanding, or we now move with the 70%, we'll go back to classes and then we'll continue negotiating for the 30%. We'll choose the latter because we think that students must now proceed with registration on Monday. Things must go to normal. The few issues that are left will continue to engage the department. There are processes that has been put in place. For example, the issue of postgraduate funding, the minister agreed that he's going to look at mechanisms to ensure that there is funding available, and we'll make an announcement before the end of this week about postgraduate funding. It's one of the demands we have been raising. The issue of UNISA, the minister has agreed that there must be a dedicated team to look at UNISA, because the argument about UNISA is that you are not able to go and study at University of Pretoria. You get a place at UNISA, and then we both come from vendor. Now, UNISA does not give you meal allowances, does not give you all the basic support that you need, but the University of Pretoria give you all the support. What differentiates us? We are still coming from poor background, despite the fact that I am enrolling at UNISA. Demographics has changed at UNISA, so we want UNISA students to also get allowances like all other students, and we are fighting for them. But in the meantime, we are saying the team that is going to be established by the minister when he announced it within this week, that team must focus and must be given a chance to come up with a clear recommendation on how to address the issue of UNISA, because UNISA students deserve to be treated like other students.
So is SAUS essentially at this point in time confirming that as of now for Monday there will be no protests and there will not be a total shutdown at universities?
Yeah, we are calling for all the students to go and register on Monday. We are calling for peace. We don't support the violence that was happening in other universities where properties were being burnt. We are advocating for peaceful means of resolving the issues that are affecting our students. And on Monday, we are saying universities must be able to go back and proceed with registration. Those that still have problems, we are there. We will be able to come together with people from the department to continue resolving those issues so that the academic year can kickstart in no time from now.
How would you now currently describe the relationship between SAUS and the Department of Higher Education? Why does it have to get to a point where we need to call for universities to shut down, we need to destroy property for these meetings to take place?
If you read Karl Marx, there are what are called laws of dialectics. The third law of dialectics talks about struggle and unity of the opposite. That is the relationship between SAUS and the Department of Higher Education. We complement and we contradict each other. We criticize them when they are doing something wrong. We support them when they are doing something right. For example, we've been fighting with them for the past week, if you have seen, but now they come on the table. There are issues that are being responded to. There are millions that are being allocated for student housing infrastructure project for the coming year. Those are some of the efforts that are being done, which we must appreciate that there is work that is being done by the Department of Higher Education. And Roman, if I can tell you, they've increased over the past 5 years, but we still want more because we don't want universities that decrease enrollment quotas. When you are given a quota by the department, stick to that quota. And we are going to hold those universities accountable, those that are decreasing enrollment quotas outside the department. So the relationship is that of complement and contradiction in the process.
And are you also going to be holding the universities accountable for the destruction of property as well as the disruption of the registration process in some of the provinces?
Yeah, universities management, they are provoking students in many instances. When students submit issues and say we have problems, sometimes universities ignore those issues or they send private security to shoot at students. You are provoking students to do what they are not intending to do.
For violence, you're provoking students to become violent.
You are provoking them to be violent. And I can tell you, we condemn violence, but one thing I must tell you is that violence against violence is not violence, it's self-defense. But we want our students to always embark on peaceful means of resolving issues. You can't be burning a library that we want to use tomorrow. But university managers must not be provoking students to do what they are not intending to do, because students inherently are peaceful. Students inherently, they have got various means of demonstrating their frustrations without being violent in the process. So we are saying managers and vice chancellors, they must implement these resolutions. They are progressive. If the minister say, give students academic record, on Monday when a student arrive and say, I want an academic record, don't give unnecessary explanation as a vice chancellor or deny students, because you are the ones who will be causing frustrations and students to demonstrate. So what we want is implementation. What we want is a solution to these issues.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. In studio by Mr. SAUS President Misheck Mugabe with regards to some of the resolutions and the outcome from the meeting that took place between the South African Union of Students as well as the Minister of Higher Education with regards to the total shutdown. As of now, we have heard from the President of the South African Union of Students. Come Monday, they are calling for peace and calm, as well as registration to take place normally in and around campuses in South Africa. We're going to take a short break here on SABC News. Do